An unexpected rescue. The starship Horizon drifted silently through the inky void of space, its sleek hull reflecting the distant pinpricks of starlight. On the bridge, Captain Jack Harper stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his keen eyes scanning the vast expanse before him. The Horizon was on a routine patrol of the outer colonies, but Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary was about to happen. "Captain," called out his first officer, Zara Chen, her voice cutting through the low hum of the ship's systems. "We're picking up a distress signal from a nearby asteroid belt." Jack turned, his interest piqued. "Origin?" Zara's fingers danced across her console. "It's not matching any known frequencies, sir. Could be alien." A ripple of excitement passed through the bridge crew. The Horizon had encountered alien species before, but first contact was always a delicate and thrilling affair. Jack nodded, his decision made in an instant. "Plot a course, Lieutenant Ravy. Let's see what we've got." As the Horizon changed direction, Jack felt the familiar surge of anticipation. This was why he joined the space exploration course, the thrill of the unknown, the chance to make a difference in the vast cosmic tapestry. The asteroid belt loomed before them, a chaotic dance of rock and ice. Nestled within its depths, they spotted a small vessel, its design unlike anything in human records. Its hull was a shimmering, almost organic-looking material that seemed to pulse with an inner light. "Life signs?" Jack asked, leaning forward. "One, sir," Zara replied, her voice tinged with concern. "But it's faint and fluctuating." Jack's jaw set with determination. "Prep the shuttle. I'm going in." Despite protests from his crew about the potential dangers, Jack knew he had to act fast. With his most trusted team members, Zara and the ship's doctor, Elias Corey, he boarded the shuttle and made his way towards the alien vessel. As they approached, they saw signs of damage to the ship's hull. Something had attacked it, leaving scorch marks and gaping holes. Jack felt a knot of dread form in his stomach. This was no accidental distress call. They docked with the alien ship, the airlock hissing as it equalized pressure. Jack stepped through first, his hand resting on his holstered plasma pistol. The interior of the ship was bathed in a soft, pulsating blue light. The corridors were curved and organic, unlike the utilitarian designs of human vessels. "This way," Elias murmured, following the signal from his medical scanner. They made their way deeper into the ship, the sense of unease growing with each step. Finally, they reached what appeared to be the bridge. And there, slumped in a chair that seemed to grow from the floor itself, was the source of the life sign. Jack's breath caught in his throat. The alien was humanoid, but with striking differences. Her skin was a pale lavender, with delicate patterns that seemed to shift and change. Long, silvery hair floated around her head as if suspended in water. But what struck Jack most were her eyes, large, iridescent, and filled with a mix of fear and hope as she looked up at them. "Hello," Jack said softly, holstering his weapon and raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "We're here to help." The alien girl's lips moved, but the sound that emerged was unlike any language Jack had ever heard. It was melodic, almost like a song. Elias stepped forward, his medical scanner whirring. "She's injured, Jack. Some kind of energy weapon, I think. We need to get her back to the Horizon." As Elias began to treat her, Jack and Zara explored the rest of the small ship. What they found chilled them to the bone. In the cargo hold, they discovered shackles and cages. This wasn't just a ship, it was a slave transport. "My God," Zara whispered, her face pale. What kind of monsters would do this? Jack's fists clenched at his sides. He'd heard rumors of illegal alien trafficking in the outer regions, but he'd never seen evidence of it firsthand. Until now. They returned to the bridge, where Elias had managed to stabilize the alien girl. She looked at Jack with those mesmerizing eyes, and he felt something stir within him. A fierce protectiveness, a determination to see her safe. "We're taking her with us," he declared, his tone leaving no room for argument. As they prepared to transfer her to their shuttle, alarms suddenly blared throughout the alien ship. On a view screen, they saw another vessel approaching, larger, more menacing. "Slavers," Jack growled. "They've come to collect their cargo." In that moment, Jack knew they were about to be thrust into something much bigger than a simple rescue mission. As he looked at the injured alien girl, he made a silent vow. He would keep her safe, no matter the cost, and he would see justice done for the horrors she had endured. With the threat looming, they rushed to get the alien girl onto their shuttle. As they detached from the damaged ship, Jack's mind raced with the implications of what they discovered. This was no longer a routine patrol. They had stumbled upon a dark secret in the vastness of space, and he knew their actions today would have far-reaching consequences. As the shuttle raced back to the horizon, with the slaver ship in hot pursuit, Jack realized that his life, and the lives of his crew, had just changed forever. The universe had just become a whole lot more complicated and a whole lot more dangerous. But as he glanced at the alien girl, now unconscious but safe in Elias's care, he knew without a doubt that they had made the right choice. The real adventure, he realized, was only just beginning. A daring escape. The shuttle's engines whined as Jack pushed them to their limits, weaving through the asteroid field with a blend of skill and desperation. Behind them, the slaver ship loomed, its weapons systems charging. "Horizon, this is Harper. We're coming in hot with hostiles on our tail. Prep for immediate departure and ready all defensive systems," Jack barked into the comm. "Copy that, Captain," came the tense reply from the bridge. In the rear of the shuttle, Elias worked feverishly to stabilize that alien passenger. "Jack, we need to get her to sick bay fast. Her physiology is unlike anything I've seen. I'm barely keeping her stable." Jack gritted his teeth, swerving to avoid a massive asteroid. "Doing the best I can, Doc. Zara, what's our status?" Zara's fingers flew over the tactical display. "Slaver ship is gaining. Their weapons are hot, but they're not firing. I think they want to disable us, not destroy us." "Small favors," Jack muttered. The horizon came into view, a beacon of hope in the chaotic void. "All right, folks, hold on to something. This is going to be close." As they approached the horizon's docking bay, the slaver ship opened fire. Energy beams lanced past the shuttle, missing by mere meters. Jack's hands danced over the controls, every evasive maneuver pushing the small craft to its structural limits. With a bone-jarring thud, the shuttle skidded into the docking bay. "We're in," Jack shouted. "Get us out of here." The horizon's engines flared to life, and the massive ship began to move. But the slavers weren't giving up so easily. Their ship latched onto the horizon with magnetic grapples, the metal groaning under the strain. "Bridge to Captain Harper," the comm crackled. "We can't break free without risking a hull breach." Jack's mind raced. They were outgunned and couldn't run. There was only one option left. "Zara, help Elias get our guest to sick bay. I'm heading to the bridge." As he sprinted through the corridors, the ship shuddered under enemy fire. Crew members rushed to battle stations, their faces a mix of determination and fear. Jack burst onto the bridge, immediately taking in the tactical display. "Status report," he demanded. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka, responded without taking her eyes off her console. "Shields at 60% and falling. The slaver ship is trying to force a docking. Their tech is more advanced than ours, Captain. We can't hold them off for long." Jack's mind whirled with possibilities. They couldn't outfight or outrun the slavers, but maybe they could outsmart them. His eyes fell on the asteroid field they had just left. "Tanaka, what's the largest asteroid you can detect nearby?" Yuki blinked in surprise, but quickly scanned the field. "There's a monster about 3 kilometers wide, dense metal core. But sir, we can't possibly." "Oh yes, we can," Jack interrupted, a grim smile forming on his face. "Ravi, plot a course straight for that asteroid, full impulse." The bridge crew looked at him in shock, but years of trust and respect overcame their doubts. They moved to obey, the horizon changing course abruptly. "Sir," Yuki said, her voice tense, "the slaver ship is matching our course. They're still attached." "Good," Jack replied, his eyes fixed on the view screen as the massive asteroid grew larger. "That's exactly what we want. All hands, brace for impact." The horizon hurtled towards the asteroid, dragging the attached slaver ship with it. At the last possible second, Jack bellowed, "Now." Full reverse thrusters. The ship's engines screamed in protest as they fired in the opposite direction. The sudden change in momentum was too much for the magnetic grapples. With a thunderous crack, they sheared off, sending the slaver ship tumbling forward. Unable to adjust in time, the enemy vessel slammed into the asteroid. The impact was catastrophic, rending metal and igniting fuel cells in a spectacular explosion. A cheer went up on the bridge, but Jack allowed himself only a moment of relief. "Damage report," he called out. "Minimal damage to outer hull plating," Ravi responded. "Shields are recovering. No casualties reported." Jack nodded, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. "Good work, everyone. But we're not out of the woods yet." Ravi set a course for the nearest friendly outpost. "We need to report this incident and get our guest proper medical attention." As the adrenaline of the moment faded, the full weight of what they'd just done settled over the bridge. They had rescued an alien slave, destroyed a slaver ship, and potentially ignited an interstellar incident. "Sir," Yuki said softly, voicing what they were all thinking, "what exactly have we gotten ourselves into?" Jack looked around at his crew, seeing the mix of excitement and apprehension on their faces. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I do know this: what we did today was right. That girl didn't deserve to be treated like property, to be sold and traded. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." With a chorus of affirmations, the crew turned back to their duties, a new sense of purpose energizing them. Jack's calm beat. "Harper here. Captain, it's Elias. Our guest is stabilized, but, well, you should come see this for yourself." Intrigued and slightly worried, Jack headed for sickbay. As the doors slid open, he was met with a sight that took his breath away. The alien girl was awake, her iridescent eyes wide with wonder as she took in her surroundings. But what struck Jack was the change in her appearance. Her skin, previously a pale lavender, now shimmered with hues of blue and green. The patterns he had noticed earlier were more pronounced, shifting and swirling like galaxies across her skin. As their eyes met, Jack felt a connection, an understanding that transcended language. In that moment, he knew that their adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. Bridges of understanding. The sickbay hummed with the soft beeping of medical equipment as Jack approached the alien girl. Her eyes, vast and shimmering like cosmic nebulae, locked onto him. There was recognition there, and something more, gratitude, perhaps, or a budding trust. Elias stepped forward, his voice low with awe. "Captain, her physiological changes are remarkable. Her body seems to be adapting to our environment at an unprecedented rate. And has more, watch this." The doctor held up a small holographic display showing complex equations. To Jack's astonishment, the alien girl's skin rippled, the patterns rearranging themselves to mirror the mathematical symbols. "She's communicating," Jack breathed. Elias nodded excitedly. "Not just that. I think she's learning, at an exponential rate." As if to confirm this, the alien girl opened her mouth and, to their shock, spoke. Her voice was melodic, with an otherworldly quality that sent shivers down Jack's spine. "Thank you," she said haltingly, the words clearly foreign on her tongue. Jack stepped closer, his heart racing. "You're welcome," he said softly. "Can you tell us your name?" The girl's brow furrowed in concentration, her skin shimmering with rapid patterns. "Name, Aria," she finally managed. "I am Aria." Over the next few hours, Aria's ability to communicate improved dramatically. Through a combination of broken English, mathematical equations displayed on her skin, and intuitive gestures, she began to share her story. She was a member of a species called the Lumina, from a distant star system. Her people possessed the ability to absorb and process information at incredible speeds, adapting their bodies to new environments as a survival mechanism. This gift, however, had made them targets for those who would exploit them. Aria's own father, a high-ranking official among the Lumina, had fallen into debt with a powerful interstellar crime syndicate. To save himself, he had sold Aria into slavery, knowing her abilities would fetch a high price. As Aria recounted her ordeal, her skin darkened to deep, sorrowful purples and blues. Jack felt a surge of anger at the injustice she had endured, mixed with an overwhelming desire to protect her. "You're safe now, Aria," he assured her, instinctively reaching out to touch her hand. As their skin made contact, a jolt of energy passed between them. Aria's eyes widened, and her skin erupted in a dazzling display of golden light. "Connection," she whispered, looking at their joined hands in wonder. Elias, who had been monitoring Aria's vital signs, gasped. "Captain, your brainwaves, they're synchronizing with hers. This is unprecedented." Before Jack could respond, the ship's alert system blared to life. "Captain, to the bridge." Zora's tense voice came over the comm. "We've got company." Reluctantly breaking contact with Aria, Jack rushed to the bridge. On the main view screen, a massive ship had appeared, its design similar to the slaver vessel they had destroyed. "They're hailing us," Yuki reported. Jack squared his shoulders. On screen, the face that appeared was humanoid, but with gray, scale-like skin and cold, reptilian eyes. "I am Commander Drax of the Shadowclaw Syndicate," the alien growled. "You have something that belongs to us. Return the Lumina female immediately, or face annihilation." Jack's jaw clenched. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding," he replied coolly. "We have no property aboard this vessel, only free individuals under the protection of the Earth Alliance." Drax's eyes narrowed dangerously. "You play a dangerous game, human. The Syndicate does not forgive theft. You have 1 hour to comply, or we will take what is ours by force." The transmission cut off abruptly. The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as the crew prepared for potential combat. But Jack knew they were outgunned. They needed a different approach. "Zara, I need options," he said, pacing the bridge. "We can't outfight them, and we won't surrender Aria." As if summoned by her name, Aria appeared on the bridge, accompanied by a flustered Elias. Her presence immediately commanded attention, her skin now a swirling canvas of tactical displays and star charts. "Hi. Help," she said, her voice stronger now. "No ship, no weaknesses." Jack's eyes lit up with understanding. Aria's adaptive abilities and inside knowledge could be the key to their survival. But could he ask her to face her tormentors? The decision was taken out of his hands as Aria stepped forward, determination blazing in her otherworldly eyes. "Together," she said, reaching for Jack's hand. "We fight, we win." As their hands connected, Jack felt that same surge of energy, stronger this time. Knowledge flooded his mind, schematics of the Syndicate ship, details of their weapon systems, even fragments of their battle tactics. "Incredible," he murmured. Looking around at his crew, he saw a renewed sense of hope dawning on their faces. They had been brought together by chance, humans, and an alien refugee, but in this moment, they were united in purpose. "All right, people," Jack announced, a fierce grin spreading across his face. "Let's show these Syndicate thugs what happens when they mess with the wrong crew." As they began to formulate their plan, Jack couldn't help but marvel at the turn of events. What had started as a routine patrol had become a fight for justice, a clash of cultures, and perhaps the beginning of something even greater. With Aria by his side, her hands still clasped in his, Jack felt ready to take on the entire universe. The next hour would determine not just their fate, but potentially the future of human-alien relations. And he was determined to make it count. Ingenuity under fire. The bridge of the horizon hummed with tense energy as the crew raced against time. Jack stood at the center, Arya by his side, their hands still linked as information flowed between them in silent electric current. "All right, listen up," Jack addressed his crew, his voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. "Thanks to Arya, we have a fighting chance. The Syndicate ship has a critical weakness in its shield matrix. If we can exploit it, we might just make it out of this alive." Arya's skin rippled with schematics and data, which Yuki quickly translated to the ship's tactical systems. "There's a fluctuation in their aft shields every 73 seconds, Yuki reported. If we time it right, we could slip a torpedo through." Jack nodded. "Good, but we need more than just a lucky shot. Ravi, what's the status of that experimental cloaking device we were transporting?" The young lieutenant's eyes widened with realization. "It's untested, sir, but theoretically functional. Are you suggesting?" "Desperate times, Lieutenant," Jack said with a grim smile. "Let's put it to the test. Work with engineering to get it online." As the crew scrambled to implement their daring plan, Jack turned to Arya. Her eyes were closed in concentration, her skin a whirlwind of calculations and alien script. "Arya," he said softly, "I need to know. Are you sure about this? We're asking you to face the people who hurt you, who tried to enslave you." Her eyes opened, meeting his with an intensity that took his breath away. "I am sure," she said, her command of English improving by the minute. "My people, we adapt, we survive. But you, Jack Harper, you showed me we can do more. We can fight back." A wave of emotion washed over Jack, admiration, protectiveness, and something deeper he wasn't quite ready to name. He squeezed her hand. "Together, then." The next 40 minutes were a blur of activity. The experimental cloaking device was jury-rigged to the Horizon's systems, while Arya worked with Yuki to calibrate their weapons to exploit the Syndicate ship's weakness. With just minutes to spare, Jack addressed his crew one final time. "What we do here today isn't just about us. It's about standing up against injustice, about proving that different species can work together, can trust each other. No matter what happens, I'm proud to serve with each and every one of you." A chorus of affirmations rang out across the bridge. They were ready. As the deadline approached, the massive Syndicate ship loomed on their view screen. Commander Drax's cold voice crackled over the comm. "Your time is up, humans. Surrender the Lumina, or be destroyed." Jack took a deep breath, then nodded to Yuki. "Now." In that instant, several things happened at once. The experimental cloaking device activated, rendering the Horizon invisible. Simultaneously, they launched a barrage of torpedoes, precisely timed to slip through the fluctuation in the Syndicate's shields. The bridge crew held their breath, watching as their torpedoes streaked towards the unsuspecting enemy ship. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as though they would impact harmlessly against the shields. Then, in a brilliant flash of light, they slipped through, detonating against the Syndicate ship's hull. Cheers erupted across the bridge as the enemy vessel listed to one side, secondary explosions blooming across its surface. But their celebration was short-lived. "Captain," Yuki called out, "they're launching fighters." Jack gritted his teeth. They had wounded the beast, but the fight was far from over. Evasive maneuvers. "Ravi, get us out of here." The Horizon ducked and weaved through space, its cloaking device flickering under the strain. Arya's hand tightened on Jack's as she fed him information faster than he could process. Together, they coordinated the ship's defenses, working in perfect synchronization. But the onslaught was relentless. A lucky shot from one of the fighters clipped their starboard engine, sending the Horizon into a spiral. Alarms blared as the cloaking device failed completely. "Shields at 20%, Yuki shouted over the chaos. "We can't take much more of this." Jack's mind raced. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and running out of options. Then, Arya's voice cut through the din, clear and determined. "The song," she said, her eyes blazing with an inner light. "My people's song. It can disrupt their systems. Without waiting for an explanation, Jack nodded. Do it. Arya closed her eyes, and a haunting melody filled the bridge. It started soft, almost subliminal, then grew in intensity. Her skin glowed with pulsing patterns that matched the ethereal music. To the crew's amazement, the attacking fighters began to falter. Their formations broke apart as their pilots struggled against some unseen force. On the main view screen, the Syndicate mothership shuddered, its lights flickering. Their systems are crashing, Yuki exclaimed. Whatever Arya's doing, it's working. Jack felt a surge of hope. Ravi, get us out of here. Maximum warp. As the Horizon's engines roared to life, Jack watched in awe as the Syndicate fleet fell into disarray behind them. Arya's song had saved them all. But their victory came at a cost. As the last notes faded, Arya collapsed, her skin fading to a pale, lifeless gray. Jack caught her before she hit the floor, panic gripping his heart. Arya, can you hear me? He looked up desperately. Get Elias up here now. As the doctor rushed to attend to Arya, Jack cradled her in his arms. Her eyes fluttered open briefly, meeting his with a weak smile before closing again. In that moment, as the Horizon raced away from danger, Jack realized two things with startling clarity. First, they had just changed the course of interstellar relations forever. And second, he was irrevocably, undeniably in love with the alien woman in his arms. As Elias worked to stabilize Arya, Jack knew that their greatest challenges and greatest adventures still lay ahead. But whatever came next, they would face it together. Hearts across the stars. The days following their daring escape were a blur of activity and tension. The Horizon limped towards the nearest Earth Alliance outpost, its systems strained to the breaking point. But for Jack, all of that paled in comparison to his concern for Arya. She lay in sickbay, her skin a pale, muted lavender, occasionally flickering with weak patterns. Elias worked tirelessly, consulting with xenobiologists across subspace channels, trying to understand her unique physiology. Jack spent every free moment by her side, holding her hand, talking to her about Earth, about the stars, about anything and everything. He wasn't sure she'd hear him, but he couldn't bear the thought of her facing the darkness alone. On the third day, as Jack was describing the sunset over the Pacific Ocean, Arya's eyes fluttered open. Her skin bloomed with a soft, rosy hue. Jack, she whispered, her voice weak but melodic. Relief washed over him like a tidal wave. Hey there, Starlight, he said softly, the affectionate nickname slipping out before he could stop it. Welcome back. Arya's lips curved into a small smile. Your voice, it guided me home. The simple statement hit Jack like a physical blow, stirring emotions he'd been trying to keep in check. Before he could respond, Elias rushed over, running scans and asking questions as Arya gradually regained her strength. The Horizon finally reached Outpost Epsilon. The Earth Alliance brass was waiting for them, along with a team of xenobiologists eager to meet Arya. Jack found himself suddenly reluctant to leave the ship to share Arya with the rest of the universe. But duty called, and soon they were swept into a whirlwind of debriefings, medical examinations, and diplomatic negotiations. The destruction of the Syndicate ship had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Some hailed the Horizon crew as heroes, while others accused them of escalating tensions with a powerful criminal organization. Through it all, Jack was struck by Arya's resilience and adaptability. She faced each new challenge with grace and curiosity, her skin often shimmering with excitement as she absorbed new information. Her ability to learn and communicate improved exponentially, and soon she was acting as a bridge between humans and other alien species at the outpost. One evening, after a particularly grueling day of meetings, Jack found Arya in the outpost's arboretum. She stood among the exotic plants, her skin mirroring their colors and patterns. As he approached, she turned to him, her eyes shining with an inner light. Jack, she said, her voice filled with wonder. Your world, your people, There is so much beauty here, so much potential. He smiled, taking in the way the artificial sunlight played across her shimmering skin. Says the most beautiful and potential-filled person I've ever met. Aria's skin flushed with a deep, rosy hue. I've been learning about human emotions, she said softly. They're so complex, so intense. Especially, she hesitated, then forged ahead, especially love. Jack's heart thundered in his chest. He took a step closer, drawn to her like a planet to its star. And what have you learned about love? That it's powerful, she replied, her eyes never leaving his. That it can bridge gaps between worlds, between species. That it can be terrifying and exhilarating all at once. She reached out, taking his hand in hers. That familiar jolt of connection sparked between them. Is this love, Jack Harper? This feeling that I would cross galaxies just to see you smile. In that moment, all of Jack's doubts and fears melted away. He pulled Aria close, one hand cupping her face. Yeah, Starlight, he said, his voice rough with emotion. I think it is. As their lips met, Aria's skin erupted in a dazzling display of light and color. Jack felt as though he was falling into the heart of a star, warm and bright and infinite. In that kiss, worlds collided and barriers crumbled. Human and Lumina, two souls finding each other across the vast expanse of space. But their moment of bliss was short-lived. As they parted, breathless and glowing, alarms began to blare throughout the outpost. Jack's comm unit crackled to life with Zora's urgent voice. Captain, we've got multiple syndicate ships dropping out of warp. They're demanding we hand over Aria, and they're threatening to destroy the outpost if we don't comply. Reality crashed back with brutal force. Jack met Aria's eyes, seeing his own determination reflected there. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Looks like our adventure isn't over yet, Starlight, he said, squeezing her hand. Aria's skin shimmered with patterns of resolve and courage. It's only just beginning, my love. Hand in hand, they raced towards the command center. The fate of not just their love, but potentially of human-alien relations, hung in the balance. The next few hours would determine whether the bridges they had built would stand strong or crumble under the weight of fear and prejudice. As they ran, Jack made a silent vow. He would move heaven and earth, would challenge the very laws of the universe if he had to keep Aria safe and to prove that love truly could conquer the vast distances between stars. The final battle for their future was about to begin, and Jack Harper, once a simple starship captain, now found himself at the center of a story that would be told across galaxies for generations to come. A new dawn. The command center of Outpost Epsilon was a maelstrom of activity as Jack and Aria burst through the doors. Holographic displays showed the menacing array of syndicate ships surrounding the station, their weapons primed and ready. Admiral Zeo, the highest-ranking Earth Alliance official present, turned to them with a grim expression. Captain Harper, we're in a hell of a situation here. The syndicate is demanding we turn over the Lumina female immediately, or they'll open fire. Jack stepped forward, his jaw set with determination. With all due respect, Admiral, that's not going to happen. Aria is under our protection, and we don't abandon our own. Aria's hand tightened in his, her skin pulsing with patterns of gratitude and resolve. The Admiral's eyes flickered between them, understanding dawning on his face. I see, he said softly. Then, squaring his shoulders, he addressed the room. All right, people, I want options. How do we get out of this without starting an interstellar war? As the strategists debated and the diplomats attempted to stall for time, Jack felt a gentle tug on his hand. Aria was staring intently at the tactical displays, her skin shimmering with rapid calculations. Jack, she said, her voice filled with sudden urgency. I have an idea, but it's dangerous. It might be our only chance. She quickly outlined her plan. It was audacious, potentially catastrophic if it failed, but also brilliant in its simplicity. Jack felt a swell of pride and love as he listened. This was the woman he had fallen for, brave, innovative, and willing to risk everything for what was right. "Admiral," Jack said, turning to Zao, "we have a plan." As Jack explained Aria's strategy, the Admiral's eyebrows rose higher and higher. When he finished, Zhao let out a low whistle. "It's insane," he said. Then, a slow smile spread across his face. "Let's do it." The next hour was a frenzy of preparation. The outpost systems were reconfigured according to Aria's specifications, while the Horizon was readied for what could be its final flight. Through it all, Jack and Aria worked in perfect synchronization, their bond allowing them to communicate almost without words. As the deadline approached, Jack addressed the combined crews of the outpost and the Horizon. "What we do here today isn't just about us, or even about Aria. It's about standing up for what's right, about proving that different species can not only coexist, but thrive together. No matter what happens, I'm proud to stand with all of you." A cheer went up from the assembled crowd. Humans and aliens alike, they were united in purpose. The plan was set in motion. As the Syndicate ships moved in, preparing to make good on their threats, the Horizon suddenly burst from the outpost's docking bay. But instead of fleeing or attacking, it began to emit a complex series of energy pulses. Aria, standing on the Horizon's bridge with Jack, closed her eyes in concentration. Her skin glowed with an inner light as she focused all her mental energy on the task at hand. The energy pulses from the Horizon merged with the outpost's reconfigured systems, creating a massive, intricate web of light that engulfed both the station and the Syndicate fleet. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, to the astonishment of everyone watching, the Syndicate ships began to power down. One by one, their weapons went offline, their engines sputtered and died. Aria had used her people's unique abilities, amplified by the outpost technology, to create a massive version of the disruptive song she had used to save them before. But this time, instead of merely disabling their enemies, she had done something far more profound. As the light faded, the comm channels suddenly burst to life with confused and frightened voices from the Syndicate ships. They were disoriented, many of them asking where they were and what they were doing. Aria opened her eyes, exhausted but triumphant. "It worked," she said softly. "The neural patterns of the Syndicate crews, I've reset them, erased the conditioning and brainwashing that made them loyal to the criminal organization." Jack stared at her in awe. "You didn't just stop them, you saved them." In the days that followed, the full impact of their actions became clear. The Syndicate, without its fleet and with many of its former members now free of its influence, crumbled. Investigations were launched, corrupt officials were exposed, and a new era of cooperation between species began to dawn. Aria became a symbol of this new age. Her unique abilities and her love for a human captain captured the imagination of billions across the galaxy. She and Jack found themselves at the center of a movement pushing for greater understanding and integration between different species. 1 year after the events at Outpost Epsilon, Jack and Aria stood hand in hand on a newly established colony world. It was a joint venture between humans, Lumina, and several other species, a living testament to the power of cooperation. As they watched the twin suns set, painting the sky in hues that rivaled Aria's shimmering skin, Jack turned to her with a smile. "Well, Starlight," he said, "we've come a long way from that slave ship, haven't we?" Aria's skin rippled with patterns of joy and love. "We have," she agreed, "but the greatest adventure is still to come." She placed a hand on her abdomen, which had just begun to show the slightest curve. Jack's eyes widened in wonder. Their child would be the first of its kind, a bridge between two species, a symbol of hope for the entire galaxy. As they stood there, bathed in the light of alien suns, Jack marveled at the twists of fate that had brought them to this moment. A routine patrol, a distress call, a daring rescue, all leading to a love that would change the course of history. "You're right," he said, pulling Aria close. "The adventure is just beginning." And as their lips met, their forms silhouetted against the spectacular alien sunset, Both Jack and Arya knew that whatever challenges the future held, they would face them together. For their love, born among the stars, had proven strong enough to reshape the very fabric of the galaxy. The end.